Hello guys, welcome back to the Syntho YouTube channel. My name is Josh Baker and my tracks have been played by the likes of Jamie Jones, Chris Dussey, Coulter and many more. I'm the founder of UME Records and also Hide and Seek Festival, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make some killer drums.
Syntho.
So now I've got Ableton open, the first thing I always do is decide to work around a certain drum kit. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're familiar with things like the 909 and the 808, but if you're not, they are by Roland, the classic drum machines, but luckily we do not need to buy one ourselves to use one. We can use samples. So the sample pack I'm going to use today is by Goldbaby. It's called Tape 909_demo, and in here we can hear all of these sounds. I almost always start with the kick drum, so I want to double click in here and click bass drum. This one sounds pretty nice. I'm going to drag and drop it into here. And now we have got our first sound, and I'm going to create a MIDI clip and I'm going to draw a pattern. So kick there, kick there, kick there, kick there. And I almost always duplicate it straight away and add some kind of extra kick drum. So at the bottom here, I'm going to do this and reduce the velocity. Velocities are essential for getting them killer groovy drums. If everything is hitting at the same velocity, it's going to sound rigid and stiff. So if that is something which is sounding familiar, just experiment with some velocities. So let's press play. Sounds pretty good. I'm going to add a bit of extra release in this kick drum. So I want to go for a clap next. Let's go for this one. That's quite quiet. Let's turn it back up. Put a bit of release on. And what I'm now going to do is create a drum rack with some sounds from this drum kit before moving on to something else. So what I do is for this is go to drums, and then we can go to drum rack here, drag this onto this channel. And now what I'm going to do is select the sounds from this kit that I like. So the rim is nice. Let's put this in. I might not use it, but the hi-hats I probably will use. Okay, these three sounds in here. And what I'm now going to do is find a nice loop that I like. So I know loops can scare many people, but I always find that when I'm starting out a track, getting some kind of loop in the mix can really speed up the process and get creative ideas flowing. So here I've got this pack of breakbeat loops. So it's not a typical loop. It's not like your tech house loops that many people associate loops with. So these are all pretty cool. You can find loops like this online by typing in drum breaks and things like that. This one's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is drag and drop it onto an audio channel, then turn this down, then press play. And once I've got this in here, I always can immediately feel myself have a kind of burst to get extra sounds in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this loop in here, then I'll drag another loop in, this one, and I'm going to do some heavy processing on this. So before I even play it, I'm going to go to audio effects. I'm going to go to auto filter, and I always like to go for this kind of effect. So I've got this, like this, and then use the LFO to create some modulation. And then if we just solo it now and play this, get some movement. And now if we add some delay, I'm a big preset lover. So if you click the drop down, we can get some cool things here. Let's go modulate delay, click an arrow there. Let's click fake phaser. I'm going to mute this clap and just bring this back in. I'm going to go back to this drum rack here. I'm going to go for this closed hat. I'm going to go for a 16th groove. I'm going to turn this velocity down. Remember what I told you at the start. Adjusting velocities is a game changer. Let's get this clap back in. So already this sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to call this loop 2. And I'm someone who likes to do a bit of processing on the fly. So I'm going to put an EQ on this loop here. EQ here, hit this button. And let's go for around 300 Hertz. I'm going to copy and paste this and put it on here. I actually don't really like that clap. So I'm going to mute this clap now. Rename this 909. I'm going to rename this clap. I'll rename this kick as I like to keep my projects tidy. The next thing I want to do is add some zap kind of percussion. So we're working around our 909 drum kit. I've added some loops in here, and now I want to create some zap. So I'm about to drop a little bomb for you. So if we press Command and F, you can search your whole sample library. I'm aware that you may not have as many samples as me, so when you search the letters ZAP, you may not get loads of zaps come up like this. But again, the internet is a very powerful tool. I would recommend searching all kinds of weird things on YouTube, Bandcamp, Discogs, Beatport. You can find samples all over the web. But like even this one here, for example. So what we'll do is drag this onto a MIDI clip and do this. And we're going to right click this, convert to drum rack, and click this. I'm going to drag some more of these in here. Let's check that one. This one will do. Let's get 4. So adding some kind of little modulated groove will add a lot. And again, watch this. Go into this loop. Let's copy and paste these onto here. Why not? Copy these onto this. And now we're going to press this, press that. Just draw a random pattern in. We may have to turn off. And listen to this groove now. So this sounds pretty good. So I'm going to duplicate this loop. I want to start adding some call and response into our tracks. I've shouted about call and response since I started teaching almost, I don't know, about 5 years ago now. It basically means that the first half of your groove has something which answers to it in the second half. It can be just a matter of extra notes. It could be automation in one of the effects. It could be the note length of something. But in here, we're going to go for these. I'm going to duplicate again and do a 4. I'm going to do like a big finish there. See that at the end has a little groove. Very, very nice. So next what we want to do is add some kind of snare over the top of this instead of the clap, because I thought the clap, to be honest, it does sound pretty good. So what we'll do is we're going to put the clap back in, but I'm actually going to start to process it and give you an idea of what my processing looks like typically on each drum channel. So turn this on. Let's listen to it again in the whole track. So to me, this needs some more distortion. So it sits a bit more in line with them loops. Them loops are, you know, from an actual drum kit, so they've got that dusty feel. So we need to take off some of the, what I would describe as clarity from this clap and almost rough it up. So what we can do is go to audio effects, and a very underrated audio effect in my opinion is overdrive. So let's watch this. Look at that. A, B. Impressive, hey? Turn the dry wet down. Let's turn overdrive off. Again, you can feel that straight away. Let's turn it back on. Turn the overdrive off. Sounds very soft. So sometimes you can literally be an overdrive away from your sound being great. So if you're someone who's making tracks now and the grooves sound good, but they sound quite what I would describe as vanilla, whack some overdrive on, go wild with it, and just always tone it back with dry wet. So next we'll look at sender returns. These are where you create effects which you can send any of these sounds to, and you will get a wet signal back. So when you open Ableton, you will all have a return A and a return B. Typically it's a reverb on A and a delay on B. This is the pattern I like to follow. There is obviously the Ableton reverb, or you can get external reverbs. Today we're going to go with the Ableton reverb. So go to audio effects, go to reverb, and in here we're going to go to room. And I would always recommend choosing something which has some kind of relevance to what you're trying to do. So you can see here, snare room. This is obviously a snare drum, and we're using this reverb for drums. So that for me sounds like a good fit. Drag and drop that onto our return. When it's a return channel, make sure it's always 100% dry wet, because we want to send the sound via the returns here. So if we solo the clap, if we turn this A up, there should be some reverb. Let's now turn the reverb back off. Look at that space it adds. Straight away, it just sounds more professional, more well thought out. Because you've got some space in the track. And now if we turn the reverb off, listen to the difference. Very dry. Turn the reverb back on. You can just feel that uplift in the track. And now we can hear this 909 closed hat. Sounds quite vanilla. Let's copy and paste this overdrive from the clap onto this straight away. Now let's put an EQ on here. Take out some of this low end. What I want to show you now is by clicking overdrive and this EQ8, we can group them together. And let's do a little A/B analysis of the hi-hat. So with the effects on, with them off, just excites it. It sounds much nicer. So track all together. So let's add a snare drum now, and this will really start to pick up the pace. I'm going to go for an 808 snare drum. Double click in here, and this should start to give us some energy. If we loop this on 1 and duplicate the loop again, let's vary the velocities here. Again there. Duplicate it again, and let's create a response at the end of the bar by just doing this. This is cool, and guess what I'm going to do again? Go to the 909, copy and paste this overdrive and EQ to the snare drum, and it's do the work once, reap the rewards on multiple occasions. So that's maybe too much for the snare, so we could bring some more low end. Let's just turn it down in volume as well. And let's put some reverb up. So now I want to get an open hat in there. So let's go into our 909 drum kit. So we've still got our rim shot and maybe the tom that I'd like to get in. But I'm going to put this open hat in, drag this here. And now I'm going to show you how to latch these drums. So if you hit this button here and then hit this button here, we then get this that comes up. And this is where we can choke the drums. So you can see the open hat here and the closed hat there. If you put them both to the same channel, I'll show you what happens. So if we play the drums with the choke on now, watch this. If we put the open hat there, so we copy and paste this across and delete these here, you'll see the difference. Can you hear that second hat's longer? Because this first hat is choking to this second hat. So it means when this closed hat plays, this open hat then turns off. So let me show you with it on, turn it off. Slower. It just feels a bit more, well, the open hat's literally playing for a longer duration. But if we turn the choke off, you'll hear the open hat will still keep playing over the top of the closed hat. Let's put the choke back on. And the open hat won't even play up here when the closed hat is choking it. Now if we delete the closed hat, and again, this is sounding really cool, I think, this groove. So let's give it some reverb. And what I would do is turn some of these loops down. So at this point now, I potentially start to pan some instruments, as this is going to make a big difference as well. So with the zaps, let's pan some of these. So if your tracks are sounding very mono, which means straight down the middle at the moment, doing some subtle panning will make a big difference. And we can also add some swing. So to do that, we need to do it on individual drum grooves. So if we double click inside here and then click this button here up next to the word groove, we'll then get this menu, which is up here. So I like to go for the MPC 16 swings. So if we scroll down, we will see them there. So swing MPC. So let's go for the 61. What we need to do is drag and drop this onto all of these. I'm not going to drag it onto the loops, as I believe the loops have a nice swing on them already. Maybe that's too swung, so what we can do is just choose something like this and drag it on top of that. Maybe even less. And what I'm going to do is take off these zaps, because I think the zaps sound better if they are straight. So with swing, it's not a matter of more swing is better or no swing is better. It's just a matter of swing is swing and will sound different. So do not be kind of in this realm of what swing do you use, what swing do you use. It's just a matter of, do you want your track to sound swung or not? So if we press play now. And we can even take these loops out. I can show what it sounds like without these. Sounds pretty killer, and I could put some 909 stuff in here. So I'm actually going to duplicate this 909 and delete this one and have a channel which doesn't have the hi-hats on, because I don't like to do them all in the same channel, but we can go. Here, hit duplicate. Could pan these, they're not so central. And what I'd do is I would use a similar effect processing chain that I'd done this loop, because I like to have some percussion which is making this weird modulated sound. So if we solo this, we can turn the phaser off, or we could go to delay and choose another weird delay on here. But a big unlock for me was doing this kind of thing of using kind of what I would say is generic sounds or generic patterns. Let's put these loops back in. So guys, I hope you found that useful, and it's now time for you to go away and write a killer groove for yourself. And to summarize it, we first wrote the pattern, we did some processing on the fly, did some panning, added some swing, and now it's time to explore some synth sounds. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you want to see more material like this, check out Syntho. The link will be attached to the video, and I hope to see you all very soon.
Syntho.